we had woods and a swamp in our backyard, and my brother and I used to play outside for hours, and we would come back to the house covered in mud.
Kelsey as a little girl was just immediately clearly determined and passionate. She approached everything she did with just this zest for life.
I kind of grew up knowing I was dyslexic. Both my dad and my older brother are dyslexic, and I never saw it as a bad thing.
And it took me a while to understand how they approached things and how they learned. But it was a wonderful trip of self-discovery, I think, for all of us.
And it wasn't really until second grade that I started struggling, and I realized, wow, maybe dyslexia isn't such a great thing after all. It started affecting me academically and socially, and my confidence plummeted, I think, at that stage.
She spent quite a bit of time trying to hide it, raising her hand just a second after everybody else in hopes of looking like she was getting it, but not standing out as not.
I realized that reading, it seemed to come so much more naturally to all of the other students than it did to me, and it was very humiliating for me.
And she had to move from a place that it was a natural, normal part of her to begin to think about her dyslexia a little objectively and to learn how to compensate for it and specifically go after developing the tools to address it.
Before learning LA, my homework would take me a very long time. Reading was always a struggle, and I would kind of push through it and work for hours and hours and stay up later and later. At the start of middle school, I started using audiobooks, and it allowed me to do my work much faster. And then later in school, I really enjoyed the more complex texts like Virginia Woolf and Shakespeare, because those were ones that I could apply the decoding skills that I had learned earlier, compensating for my dyslexia, to texts like that. It allowed me to start enjoying books again.
One of the important roles for a parent of any child, but especially a child who learns a little differently, is to function as an advocate with the school, asking for services, helping them understand resources that they have, even with specific teachers, helping the teacher understand how the child learns and that sort of thing.
So she would come into her teachers, and right from the word go, she would advocate for herself. So I think what dyslexia taught her as a precursor to high school was how to communicate.
I think self-advocacy has a lot to do with confidence. And I think that before you can really advocate for yourself and what you need in compensating for your dyslexia, you have to be comfortable with your dyslexia and confident in who you are, and that what you need doesn't take away from your knowledge or intellect.
By giving a child the benefit of a little more efficient reading process, it gives them the time to open up and explore so many other fields in so much more depth.
I really loved looking at a topic and examining how different countries approached it and what their philosophies were and why. I know that I have this passion for global perspectives, and I could definitely see myself working abroad, maybe for an NGO. I think my interest in social justice stems from the times when I have struggled and been really grateful for the people that have been there to advocate for me. And I really want to be somebody who advocates for others that are struggling.